Okay, Lars, you're on. I think we're all going to have to introduce ourselves a bit.
Okay.
But I'm going to say, just briefly, that Lars is a wonderful contributor to many good things here at Utah Valley University and elsewhere in the world. And Lars, you've been a member of the Peace and Justice Studies Executive Committee for many years now. Can you remember?
7 years.
7 years. And we really appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Oops. I got it. Don't worry. Thank you, though. All right. Thank you so much. I should probably turn this thing off. I'm going to use it, huh? Thank you so much, Michael. It really is, just for a moment, I have to say this is very much an honor to be able to work with Michael. It's been such a privilege, and I've learned a lot in the last 7 years of being able to work with the Peace and Justice Committee, of which he is the founder and the heart of that. So, as Michael kind of mentioned, we're going to kind of take a top-down sort of approach to this. So we're going to sort of start more in the global aspect, although I think that, who's the person that's doing it last? I can't remember his name now. But.
Cassandra is scheduled last, I think.
But anyway, we're going to go from my experiences kind of more on an international level, and we're going to talk more about other issues and sort of end up on the local level. So my main interest, I guess, started when I had the opportunity about 5 years ago to go to Syria. This was a year before their civil war broke out. And this was actually part of the Peace and Justice Studies program that we launched. And we had the opportunity to meet with a lot of different people, a lot of different universities particularly, but just to interact with the Syrian people. I've been able to travel a fair amount to different countries, and the Syrian people were so warm and welcoming. It was really a great privilege. So fast forward a little bit to where we are today, where there are over 7 million people within Syria that are displaced. We have almost 5 million, 4.9 million people from Syria that have left because of the civil war. These individuals were not trying to, establish any kind of life other than just being able to provide for their families and provide for themselves. So when I saw this happening, my heart was just wrenched. And I wanted to be able to do something about it. I had the opportunity a few months ago, mostly because of my wife now. We were not married then. We've been married for 2.5 months, and we're very excited about that. But I had the opportunity to go to Greece back in April and work in refugee camps that were primarily Syrian, and work with them and see what's happening. As I mentioned, there are 4.9 million Syrian refugees. And we need to do something to try and help them. I just felt like I needed to do something to help them. I had the opportunity to go to the Idomeni camp, which was on the border of Myanmar, which is now defunct. They've since cleared this camp and put them in other refugee camps across the country. And the primary reason that they were there was just trying to find a better place. Greece, of course, doesn't have the capacity to really take care of them. And so the borders started to close. So they just started to amass on the border here in Greece, on the border of Myanmar. And just to see the struggles, you can see some of, this is a very typical scene that was there. But being able to interact and being able to see the needs but as Michael pointed out, to see their humanity and to recognize what they are. So my main goal, I guess you might say, right now is to try and advocate, try and help us bring more refugees here to the United States as well as to other countries. When Michael mentioned there are over 65 million refugees currently in the world. Right now, we as the United States, we bring in 100,000. We've committed to bring in 100,000. We're not quite there yet, but we are on the cusp. So just to kind of put that in perspective, if we take in 100,000 refugees each year, and there are 65 million refugees, it would take us roughly, I should be thinking about this, huh? my mind's a little bit blank right now, but it would take us about 65 years to bring in all refugees. No, more than that. 650 years, yes. I knew I was losing a decimal there. 650 years to bring in all the refugees. So we need to do something a little bit more, I think. We need to take this a little more seriously. We need to deal with it as if it is a crisis. So I think it's important to just address very briefly. I'm not going to talk about this a lot, but there are hesitations. We've heard a lot, of course, with the current political situation, with the presidential election. What are the hesitations, right? Syrian refugees, many think that it will allow dangerous elements through our borders, increase the number of terrorist acts here in the United States, maintain Syrians. We want to maintain them in their homeland. And when I talk to the Syrians, that's what they would prefer. They would like to stay in their homeland. But they also want to stay alive. They want to be able to take care of their family. So that's not really a reality. Many think we cannot accommodate them. There will be a drain on the economy. The reality is actually that it's, the likelihood of terrorist attacks, I'm not going to go into a lot of statistics, but it's less than 1 in a billion. It's very, very, very minuscule amount, very minuscule number. So it's important to realize that most of these hesitations, most of these reasonings really are unfounded. So why should we help? I do appreciate what Neil said at the beginning and what President Uchtdorf of the LDS Church said, that we need to recognize the humanity. We need to recognize that they are just like you and me. Why should we help? You have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you, that ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and on the unjust. For if ye love them which love you, what reward have ye? So I think that it's important to think about, even if we see them as our enemies, we still need to reach out. We still need to recognize them as our brothers and sisters. But these people are our neighbors. These people are individuals just like us that need help. I'm not going to go too much into this. Many of you may have heard, I think it's important to kind of think about, Utah was established because of the refugee crisis. Fleeing religious persecution at the time. And think about the story that Utah has. And I really appreciate, I'm not going to go into what Governor Herbert said because we are running out of time, but think about that process. That what would we be doing, I don't know why I say that, what would we be doing if we hadn't come here, if people had not come here to try and settle? I really do actually appreciate the Christian approach. I'm not just speaking, of course, of the LDS Church, but it's a Christian approach. But even, Muslims, of course, have very similar foundations for their ethics, and other religions as well. But I really like the way that Christ put it. He said, "For I was an hungered and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger and ye took me in. Naked and ye clothed me. I was sick and ye visited me. I was in prison and ye came unto me. Then shall the righteous answer him, saying, Lord, when we saw thee an hungered and fed thee, or thirsty and gave thee drink? When saw we thee a stranger and took thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when we saw thee sick or in prison and came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, ye have done it unto me." When I had the opportunity to go to Greece, and I've since been back with my wife, also, we talk to these people, and they're in camps, and they're safe, relatively safe. They have enough food, but they feel like they are prisoners because they said they cannot move forward, they cannot move backward. They're kind of stuck, and they feel like the world has forgotten about them. And I think to a large extent they're correct. You look at their situation, and they're living in tents. They are living day to day, they're not sure where they're going to be. And I think they are in a type of prison, and we need to look at that and see what we can do to help. So what can we do to help? We need to, from my perspective, I'm a social worker by profession. And part of what we do as social workers, of course, is advocate We try to bring about more awareness. We try to help those that are in need. And if something is lacking, we seek to correct it and seek to provide more services. So I really like this quote. It was on CNN last year. It said, "I think the entire program, speaking of the refugee program, is contingent on the support of the American people. It is contingent, as all programs in the United States government are, on funding from Congress." As I mentioned, currently we allow 100,000, we help relocate 100,000 refugees. We bring 1,200 of those into Utah through the IRC and through the Catholic Community Services. Like I said, though, this is a crisis. We need to be doing much more than what we are, as a country, and as a global nation as well. From a global perspective, we need to be doing much more. We just got back from a conference last week where they were talking about some environmental issues and environmental justice, and they are projecting that by 2050 there could be as many as 200 million refugees. So we need to be doing something much more than we are right now. And I hope that those of you who are here will be willing to help out. I am connected with Refugee Action Network. I'm on their board, but I'm not here officially representing them today. My wife is doing that, actually. But I do have some sign-up sheets if anybody is interested in wanting to try and advocate. I've done this in the past, and I continue to seek for opportunities to advocate primarily to our Congress, to the leaders of our country, to try and help them understand that there are people here in the U.S. that want to help, that want to bring these people. I really appreciate what Michael said, that as we bring refugees to the United States, it will enrich our lives. It will enrich their lives as well, I think, but it will enrich our lives. We will learn from them. We will experience their culture. We will experience their love, if we are willing to share it. And I really hope that we can share these ideas, share these things with our friends, our families, and help them understand that this is something that we need to address more fully. Thank you so much.